This is Jones & Co. Now, Alan Jones and Peter Credland.
Well, of course, the bloke is still in the news, isn't he? But thankfully, I think the wider public are starting to see the Malcolm Turnbull that Peter and I knew. Just remember that we both told you at the outset that this would end in tears. It's ended in worse than that. So he was speaking today at a Smart Energy Summit in Sydney. And he was questioned about his national energy guarantee. And he said that they didn't introduce the legislation, weren't going to. He didn't really abandon it. He wasn't going to introduce it until he was confident we could secure its passage. That's shorthand for saying that the majority of the parliament wouldn't pass it. Then he said, renewables and battery storage, this is Turnbull today, renewables and battery storage were the energy source of the future. Straight out of the Labor Party handbook. Straight out of the Labor Party handbook, this bloke's kidding. Renewables. We could be in trouble even this summer. 61% of our energy comes from coal-fired power. But there was, and he took several swipes at Scott Morrison again today. Nothing surprising about that. We'll come to that in just a moment. But Caroline Overington has written a brilliant piece in today's Australian newspaper, and amongst which she said things like, Malcolm's actions this week weren't miserable. Remember, he talked about didn't want people, former Prime Ministers, being miserable ghosts, because he promised not to be a miserable ghost. She writes, they weren't miserable. They were malevolent, deliciously malicious. This behaviour we're seeing, wrecking, undermining, denying all the while, is not out of character. This is his character. This lady is an expert on this man's character. I'm telling you, we may be actually seeing this is the best of him. As you say, on the Richter scale of appalling behaviour.
On my Turnbull Richter scale of sheer bastardry, this is about 3.5. So sorry, ladies and gentlemen, there is a long way, which I expect he will go right after 10, but there's a long way to go in all of this. I think he'll go away and have some Christmas pudding, but he'll come back with a vengeance in the new year.
He's that kind of person.
You know, all these documents that were leaked, all these reports that were supposedly only with one copy in the Prime Minister's safe and then one copy given to Scott Morrison, you can now see it wasn't sort of fiction that this could well have been leaked by the Turnbull camp. You can see the sort of character of the man. You make your own judgment up. I have seen the worst of it on the inside.
Absolutely. And
everyone thought that we were over-egging the custard by saying you've got no idea what it's like.
Yeah, we were accused of delusional conservatives. And
who's delusional now, Alan? Who is delusional now?
Who's delusional now? The mob who said this man was God's gift to Australian politics. I well recall, I suppose I'm speaking out of school here, but everyone knows that I've known Tony Abbott for a long, long time. I can't think of any more decent human being to offer himself for public service, let alone public office. And early on in the piece, we had lunch at my place. I was sitting at the table here, and Peter was here. She came with him, and Tony was there. And I said to Tony, how are things going? And Tony, the usual, oh, well, I'm doing, you know. And I said, listen, there's a bloke here who's white-handing you 24 hours a day, get rid of him. Without drawing breath, Peter over here said, I've been telling him that for 6 months. Now, Tony, of course, made excuses and said about the need to provide dignity to a former leader and so on, and he paid for it. Brendan Nelson paid for it. We're all paying for it. And Caroline Overington said, referring to him on the ABC, talking about his removal, and Turnbull said over 100 times, it was destructive, mad, pointless exercise, and the Australian people have been appalled by it. Pointless. Now, this is a bloke who lost 14 seats at the last election in one of the most appalling campaigns ever run, 8 weeks, hopeless. Then, of course, remember, he lost 38 news polls. Then he lost 5 by-elections, and the primary vote for the Liberal Party in Queensland in the Longman by-election was 29%. Then he lost, of course, a vote in the party room and he was gone. Now, I would refer you, if you want to read the Caroline Overington piece online, but there's over 400 comments. There wouldn't be 2, perhaps 3, in favour of Malcolm Turnbull. Duncan says, as much as I agree with everyone and would like Mal to just go away, there is an upside to his very loud mouth. Keep talking, Malcolm, as it allows everyone to see the truly despicable person you really are. Me, myself, I, and that's it in a nutshell. Nobody likes a bad loser who bags his teammates, no matter which team you support. The damage Turnbull's doing to himself without knowing it is worth the pain. Ken said, the penny's finally dropped, it would appear. All those in the media, including yourself, referring to Caroline, who were so entranced with Turnbull, so blinded by his charm, false as it was, have finally had to admit they were wrong. They continued to support him when the population rejected him. Not once, but twice. He was replaced by Tony Abbott at the behest of his colleagues when he could garner no more than 17% approval rating. First time round. He could not be satisfied until he removed Tony Abbott in the most duplicitous method, and after a very long, sweet honeymoon, courtesy of the media, he was shown to be extremely unpopular amongst the voters, losing 38 news polls and 14 seats to begin with, and 4 later on. Still, the media hounded Tony Abbott, refusing to acknowledge what is now so obvious. Turnbull, the happiest Prime Minister ever, has shown himself to be a man with a thoroughly faulty character, and that's being polite.
I want to show you something from Richo last night.
Oh, yes, Richo. That was brilliant. Have we got that? From Richo. It was phenomenal last night when they were talking about this on Paul's show. Have a look at this. This is on Paul Murray's show last night, Richo. Here we go.
Malcolm Turnbull sets new lows every single day. I mean, I've got to say, I've changed. Now, I've been bucketing Malcolm, but it's obvious he's working with me. It's obvious that he is more on side with Labor than I am. I mean, thank you, Malcolm. Now, I knocked you back all those years ago. Came into my office and you said, I want to... It's not too late, Malcolm. Come on down. We're so grateful to you. We couldn't be this far in front without you, Malcolm, and we need you to stay around. Don't go to New York. Stay right here. Keep tweeting, brother. We love you.
What are the chances you can get on the phone to Kayla, boss of the New South Wales Labor Party, and give life membership to a person who's not a member of the party?
Now, look, I tried on the way over.
Isn't that brilliant? Richo sums it all up.
This is Jones & Co. on Sky News Live.